Would you state your name and can you spell your last name, please?
My full name is Roberto Baldazo, and you spell my last name Baldaz, as in zebra, O.
Okay. And Mr. Baldasso, you were on the Apple River on July 30th of 2022, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury who you were with?
I was with my wife, my 3 children, my cousin, and a friend of mine and his wife.
And had you been drinking that day?
Yes.
Okay, can you give us an idea of about how much you had to drink?
I would say the total for the day was about 6 beers.
How would you describe your intoxication level when you were witnessing what you were witnessing?
I was slightly buzzed. I mean, I was still able to walk and talk and such.
Okay. If you said to the, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, if you said to the police that you were drunk, would that be fair or not?
No, not really fair. I wasn't drunk. I was definitely drinking.
Okay. And so your family, your friends are just kind of having a lazy day on the river, is that, would that
Correct.
be reasonable?
Correct.
Right. And does there come a point when you're on the river that something draws your attention?
Yeah, we were floating along, and we had been stopping along the ways, just kind of meeting people and kind of conversing with other groups. We had just left the little bar. There's a little bar that you kind of climb up the hill, and you can order drinks and whatnot. You needed to have cash, and we didn't have cash on us, so we just left. We started to take off from there, and I noticed, I didn't have my glasses on, but it looked to me like people were dancing, kind of partying. And so I told the group, I said, hey, I think there's people dancing over there, let's go check it out. So as we started floating up, I started noticing that it looked a little bit more than dancing. I wasn't sure because I can only see like the shadows or outlines because it was so far away. And so I started to veer off to the right of the river, and then immediately my wife jumps off and takes off towards the bank, and that's when I took off and followed her.
Okay, I'm going to just back it up for a minute, okay? Now, to be fair, I think your interview with the police, there was questions about your ability to see based upon whether or not you were wearing any type of corrective lenses or anything. Is that fair?
Correct, I actually made that a point right from the beginning.
All right, and how would you, without glasses, because you said you weren't wearing them, right?
Correct.
How would you describe your eyesight?
I mean, it's fair, I can see well enough to drive, I just can't see details that far away.
You can, is it fair to say I think if I heard you correctly, you can see shapes and outlines?
Correct. A little bit more than just that, though. I mean, I could see I can see that far away, I just can't see in detail, if you will. It's not crisp, it's fuzzy.
And when you see the people that you believe initially might be dancing, about how far away from them are you? Best guess.
I would say approximately about 60 yards or so.
Okay. And can I ask you, in terms of, I'm going to try to put this together, 60 yards away, no glasses, how would you describe your ability to kind of see that based on the distance and the no glasses? How does that?
I mean, I can't see detail from that far away, but I can definitely see people.
Okay. Do you hear what's happening?
No, it's loud.
Okay, so you can't hear anything in particular coming from that group. Is that a
No,
fair?
all I could hear is water rushing.
And if I heard you right, you said then at some point you believed it didn't look like they were dancing. It looked like there was more going on.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but it looked odd after a minute because there was a lot of, kind of crouching down. Some people were kind of crouching down.
Can I ask you about how long do you think this was going on in terms of what you initially believed might have been dancing and then you believed was something else?
I definitely under a minute, if I understand the question correctly.
Yeah, all right. And then you, if I heard you right, you said that your wife got up and took off.
She did. At that point, we did kind of notice that there was some people laying on the bank. And so at first she had said, I think somebody was impaled by a tree. And so as she was kind of saying that, she was leaping off of her tube to take off running. That's when I took off after her.
Okay. So although you can't hear necessarily what's going on, you heard what your wife said.
Correct. She was right next to me, elbows touching.
And about how far away from the groups that you said you saw, like, laying there, about how far away from them are you?
Oh, somewhere, I would say in the proximity of maybe 40 feet at that point, maybe 50.
And is your wife ahead of you in this?
Yes, I was
Going
pursuing
to
her,
them?
yes.
Seeing what you're seeing that day, did that cause you some concern for either your physical safety or your wife's physical safety?
At first, yes, my wife, because we had no idea what she was rushing into, or I didn't.
And as a result of your concern for her physical safety, what did you do?
Took off running after her.
Okay, what else did you do?
Tripped over a rock. I had my knife on the inside of my waistband, my swim trunks.
Okay.
And when I came up, the water was about knee high. There was a huge set of rocks there. So my right leg kind of got stuck on the rock. My left tripped or slipped, and I went forward, and I felt the butt end of my knife kind of jab me in the stomach, so I reached down and did something. But I kept running towards my wife.
Did you pull your knife out?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Do you remember telling the police that you pulled out your knife, you just don't remember if you opened the blade or not?
Right, because it had jabbed me, so I don't know if I pulled it out. And the reason for my confusion is when my wife asked, so my wife was asking for a chest seal. I'm pushing up the narrative here a bit. She was asking for a chest seal, so later on, I kind of don't remember if I had pulled out my knife and kept it out when I tripped, but I remember my wife asking for a chest seal, so I turned back to my daughter Aubrey, and she ran back to our tubes and got me a sandwich baggie. And I don't remember if I cut the baggie to make it lengthier, because it was folded over, but I don't remember cutting the bag. I remember seeing the bag cut open, perfectly squared to make it longer to cover the hole in Isaac's chest.
Do you remember that when your wife took off running, that you had said to the police that you were attempting to kind of make a threat assessment at that point as to what was happening?
Correct. I tried to scan in the area, see what was going on, because I noticed there was somebody else that was hurt on this side. So it led me to believe that it could possibly be something like that. So I was kind of just scanning, making kind of a threat assessment. I didn't really see much, so I started focusing on my wife.
And based on that threat assessment, you informed the police that you pulled your knife.
I don't recall that exactly.
Okay. If it says that you pulled your knife after doing a threat assessment, would you disagree with that?
I think maybe that's taken out of context because I didn't feel threatened at any point, nor did I pull out the knife in a thought of in defending myself or anything like that.
So when you would say to the police, I was looking into the crowd because right away my thought process, threat assessment, where is the threat? Who is doing what? Let me get a good, summary of what's going on here. But then my wife's already en route. So I jump off the tube, take off running, I see what appears to be someone doing this, and then you make a motion, okay? Then your response is, and so I pulled out my knife, but I don't remember if I opened the blade or if I just pulled it from my trunks. Do you remember that statement?
It sounds like something I would say for sure.
Okay. And I think you said to the police, well, let me ask you this. Did you ultimately keep your knife or was it lost?
It was lost. I don't know what happened to it.
And it was lost presumably in the river?
I would assume so, yes.
Okay. And do you know what's happening? Meaning, are you able to see what's happening at that point?
Well, yeah, I was focused on my wife and noticed Isaac's body laying there. That's where most of my focus was at.
Did you notice, I think you had made mention to the police that you ultimately noticed the individual that you thought was responsible for this, right?
Oh, no, I never said that. And maybe something I said was taken out of context, but I can't see that far.
Okay.
I saw an individual run to the top of the hill, make eye contact with and take off running, but I couldn't tell you who that person was.
Okay. So you don't have any reason to know whether or not that person was involved?
No.
Okay. And I know that you assisted and participated with your wife in trying to tend to and take care of Isaac. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And does there come another a point after that happens where you come across something in the river that you think might be relevant?
Yes, I saw the snorkel,
Okay.
which I didn't know what relevance it played at the time. I just had picked it up, and there was actually a police officer standing with me. We were conversing when I reached down and grabbed it.
Okay.
Then another gentleman ran up and was kind of screaming, that's the snorkel, that's the snorkel. I didn't know what, so I just handed it to the officer.
Was it one person or a bunch of people that came over to you?
With the snorkel, you mean?
Yes, sir.
I can only remember one man.
Okay. And have you told the police that it was a bunch of guys and they started coming at you, filming you, and I'm using your words, talking shit to you? Do you remember that?
No, not at all.
Okay. It's on your recorded statement.
Objection, Judge, he's testifying.
Sustained.
Are you aware that you provided a statement providing the information I've just told you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I actually do remember the gentleman coming at me. He was pretty animated, he was heated. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I just told the guy, I said, hey, look, I don't know anything about the snorkel. I just picked up the snorkel. I said, officer, would you like to take the snorkel?
Okay. And I guess I just want to clarify, is it one person or more than one person?
I only remember the one guy who was engaging me. There were multiple people around, but the one individual was actually engaging me verbally.
Okay, and was his verbal engagement making you nervous?
No. I wasn't nervous. The police officer was standing right next to me.
Okay, so did you believe that person was going to attack you?
No.
Okay, if you told the police that you believe that?
I told them that he was heated and elevated.
You said it was like they were going to come and attack me. I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on. I looked at the officer and just threw the effing snorkel at him, right?
I don't remember using those words.
Okay. Is it, I want to make sure I understand this, is it, well, I want to put words in your mouth either. Did you or did you not see specifics of what happened with Mr. Mew and any of the people on the river?
No?
Okay. And that was because you didn't have was it because you didn't have your glasses on?
I think it was a combination of the distance. I didn't have my glasses on. I mean, we pretty much arrived after the fact.
Appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Anderson?
So if I'm understanding right, you don't remember when your knife got lost?
I don't. It has to be sometime between when I left the tube pursuing Andrea, or my wife, to the shoreline. Somewhere in there. It has to be somewhere in there.
Did you talked about cutting the Ziploc bag, so could it have been after you got to the shore, actually?
I don't remember cutting the bag, but I remember the bag being cut.
Okay.
I played that in my head. I just can't connect the two.
May I approach?
Yes.
For the record, Judge, I'm just going to show him a screen grab from Officer Farrell's body cam at 15 minutes, 27 seconds. Is that you assisting CPR on Isaac?
Yes.
It looks like you have your pocket knife in
Yes.
on the back of your shorts.
Yes. Let me just.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that looks like it.
Okay. And it looks like it's on your back side of your hip.
Yes.
And you testified you didn't remember when it jabbed you, when you tripped on the rock, you didn't remember if you took it out or just slid it over.
Correct.
You agree? Looks like you slid it over to your back so it wouldn't jab you.
Correct. That makes sense.
So, was the rest of your group was over by a sandbar, right? If you remember,
Roughly.
kind of like
On the other side of the river.
yeah, kind of after you came around the bend.
Correct.
And were there other tubers there?
Yes.
And were people was there a lot of commotion going on?
Yes.
And people didn't know where the guy with the knife went, the stabber? If you
Correct.
know.
No one specifically told me that. I just kept hearing people say, "Where did he go? Where did he go?"
Okay. And when you left to go aid Isaac, did you leave from that sandbar area?
Can you repeat that, sir, please?
When you left, like, from your group to follow your wife, was that from the sandbar area?
I can't remember where exactly we were on the river in regard to that sandbar. I can't remember if we were before or after it, but I know we were around it.
Did your group stop there and wait? Is that why they were there, waiting for you and Andrea, if you know?
Correct.
Okay. So you might have went straight to Isaac after coming around the bend?
Correct.
Okay. Was Isaac already on the shore when you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Nothing else?
Mr. Trofficy?
Sir, if you didn't pull the knife, how'd you lose the knife?
I have no idea. Like I said, we had to make a chest seal. I don't remember, but I may have used the knife to cut the bag open to make it longer, because the gash was significantly wide and long.
Mr. Anderson?
You described your knife you lost to law enforcement, right?
Correct.
And you're aware that they located one that matches the description?
I assumed so. No one actually said they found it, but I assumed
Oh,
they did.
okay. What kind of knife was it?
It was a knife called, it's made by a company called Tactical Gears.
With a Z?
Correct.
Nothing else.
Thank you, Mr. Baldazo. You may step down.
Thank you,
You are
sir.
excused.